Dream Children, a Reverie is one of the essays of Elia. It expresses the feelings of loss and regret faced by the narrator. Here Charles Lamb is the narrator and he speaks about his personal experiences when he was a young man. He visualizes himself as a bachelor. He visualizes himself as a father of two children. But his wife is now no more. The two children crawled towards him and they wanted to hear stories about the mother, the grandmother, their uncle. And he starts narrating some incidents connected to the lives of all his family or family members or some of his relatives. A reverie means a daydream. So he is sitting in his armchair and the children come towards him and then he narrates. He tells us that children love to listen to stories. So they are very keen on hearing stories about their elders. Their elders now, they might have died, but their elders when they were children. So that would be exciting to hear the stories about their elders when they were children. So it's a kind of stretching your imagination to the conception of a traditionally great uncle. Conception is the idea of a traditionally in the sense used in the sense traditional great uncle or grandame, that is the grandmother, whom they never saw. So they are thrilled to hear stories from their father, that is Charles Lamb, about all the relatives who are now dead and gone. It was in this spirit that my little ones crept about me the other evening. It was in this spirit that's moved that the little ones, the two children, came to him that evening to hear about the stories. One is Mrs. Field, their great-grandmother, or Mrs. Field is the grandmother of Charles Lamb. So to the children, Mrs. Field is the great-grandmother. She lived in a great house in Norfolk. Norfolk is a county in the northeast of England, 100 times bigger than in which they and Papa lived. So he told them that she lived in a great house, a palatial building. Really, she was not the owner of the house, she was only the caretaker of the house. Then another point you have to notice here is, it's not in Norfolk, really. He always substitutes an imaginary name for persons or for the country or the place names. So maybe he wants to add some kind of a fictional element to it. That is why it is said so. Or he speaks about some fictional names. The place name Norfolk, in reality, Mrs. Field did not live there. So it was a big palatial house which had been the scene, so at least it was generally believed in that part of the country, People in the locality believe in the story about this great house, of the tragic incidents which they had lately become familiar with from the ballad of the children in the wood. So really, in that palatial house, scenes depicting from a very popular ballad, a tragedy entitled Children in the Wood. So all the people in the locality knew about this story, and the scenes depicting the story were etched in wood and placed in the guest room of that house, of that big house. So all the tragic incidents were narrated through etchings or carvings on wood, and that was in that big house. So details regarding Children in the Wood, the tragic story of the children in the wood, you get it in the notes. Notes page, refer page 45 and 46. I think if you go through it, you find that two children were abandoned in the forest. So it was the plan of their uncle to get their property, the children's property, and so he wanted to kill them, or he was supposed to be, children were supposed to be abandoned in the forest, and they will die a kind of natural death in the forest. And this tragic story of these children is given in the popular ballad of those times, named Children in the Wood. So for more details, you can go to page 45 and 46. I think that would be sufficient for you to understand about this ballad in this context. So the point is, the episodes representing this ballad were kept in the building, or were painted or sketched or carved in the building. Then, certain is that the whole story of the children and the cruel uncle was to be seen fairly carved out in wood upon the chimney piece, that's a place above the fireplace of the great hall. The whole story down to the robin breast. You get another allusion there, the allusion to robin breast. They are a kind of birds mentioned in the Bible. For this also, you refer page 46. So, reference to the legend of robin breast. It tells the story of how the robin got his red breast. Robins have red-colored breasts in the neck region or the chest region. It's related to a story in the Bible. Baby Jesus was in the manger. The fire which had been lit to keep the infant warm was burning. It was so cold, and the fire was lit to keep the baby comfortable. At that time, to save the child from cold and fire, a brown robin fluffed out its feathers, spread its feathers to protect the baby. But somehow the breast or the neck, the part of the neck was scorched by the fire. This redness was supposed to be, or this redness was passed on to future generations. So this reference to the robin breast and how it got the red breast is described in the is related to the story in the Bible about the red breast. What here he means is when the whole story down to the Robin Redbreast. So everything connected to the popular ballad and to the episode of the Robin Redbreast are carved in the fireplace, near the fireplace of the great house.